Every Tuesday, we visit with Sean Salisbury, and my goodness, do we have a lot to get to today. Sports Talk 790 in Houston, Unpaved on Rumble. That's the YouTube show, weekdays at noon Central, and he's on Twitter, X, at Sean Unfiltered. Yo, man, how are you? Thanks for the time.
I'm doing great, man. Good to talk to you. How are you?
I'd be doing a lot better if LSU had a running game. It's been the most gigantic question here, Sean. Brian Kelly said in the interview with Feinbaum yesterday that they saw 85 to 90% drop 8 against Ole Miss. Yet they ran it 21 times, threw it 34, and managed only 54 yards on the ground. Please help me make sense of why there's that imbalance in this offense when you're facing three-man fronts.
And it was a one-score game, Matt.
Yeah.
One-score game. I was bothered by a little bit of the plan this week, and I didn't know the percentage. You could tell they were dropping into coverage because it's a good quarterback, and you felt make him go through his reads and see if they'll not be greedy. And you know, the oldest cliche in the book is take what they give you. Well, take what they give you means run it downhill. Now, I don't know if that means that LSU is concerned about, a couple injuries on the offensive line. They got manhandled at the line of scrimmage on both sides of the ball, which isn't typical LSU in my mind now. I know the offensive line's got to play better, but they had their way with LSU's defense this week, not even in the point total, but just with balance. Lane did run it. Well, they run off from 170 yards or something, and the backup quarterback played good football. I can't make sense of it, Matt. I'd love to. You know my affinity for LSU Tigers and for Nussmeier, and maybe that's part of it. Nuss has not played up to the expectations I think we all have, and I hold out hope that he will. Now, whether that's a combination of line play, game plan, execution in the run game, but the fact that they can't run it, and we know Ole Miss has gotten more physical. Now, if you'd have told me going into this game, and you'd never watched football other than, knowing the reputation of teams, and you told me that they were going to get physically punched in the face, I'd have said, LSU, that doesn't happen that often. Well, It happened to an Ole Miss team because most of the time our perception of Ole Miss is what? They want to run it, but they're finesse. We get that feeling of it. But Lane wants to run it. Trust me. Sarkisian wants to. Guys from that system, Mike Leach, they want to run it. But when you make them throw, they're usually pretty efficient at it because of all the formations and window dressing they give you. I was surprised by it. And then when you do that and you're throwing it more than you're running it when they're dropping 8, one is you got to have a game. You got to have a come to Jesus, game plan check. 2 is you're putting the quarterback in a bind to try to do more than he needs to, and it's hard to be patient for 4 quarters in any league, let alone in this one, when they're controlling it, running the football a lot and getting chunks. And every series, even though it was close, you're pressured into, okay, I got to make more plays. And I'm not making excuses for Nussmeier. Plus, when he gets chewed out by Brian, which seemed to happen a bunch, he met him on the sidelines. I think he does that because he knows Nussmeier is tough-minded and can handle it. That being said, I thought their game plan was average at best. I thought they were physically pushed around, which I never would expect, even with the woes on the offensive line of LSU. And the optics were ugly, and the game plan and the end result matched. It was beyond me. Sometimes in a one-score game, you're thinking, well, let's stick to the game plan. And if the game plan is going in, if they drop 8, maybe they were real. I didn't hear Brian's talk if they were confused by it or didn't approach it. But it's like when you play 2 high safeties, and that's not even dropping 8. If you play 2 high safeties and you're rushing 4 in the pass rush, you're getting involved in the run game. When you got 2 high safeties back, they're begging you to run it. Now, when you're dropping 8, they're begging you, whether it's the check down game or whether it's the run game, you've got to be able to move piles, and they weren't. And it was a hard watch. I was actually shocked by the physical nature which LSU got pushed around this past Saturday.
LSU running backs had 2 rushing attempts in the first half.
Okay, it's unacceptable in any league from Pop Warner. I don't care. In Pop Warner, Matty, when we put the best player with the ball and say, you just go do your thing, and he ends up running it. But it was opposite. 2 rush, you just can't do that, especially against a team that is pretty damn explosive when it's a Lane Kiffin offense. You've got to shorten the game. You just do, even though you've got a hell of a quarterback too. I thought that they were out-coached, and I don't say this much coming on your show, out-coached, out-executed, out-physicaled, and out-finessed. Yeah. There wasn't really anything that LSU did better than Ole Miss. Ole Miss is better than the 13th or 14th ranked team going into that game. And I'm going to tell you, they're going to have a hell of a week this week because LSU did not look like a team that belongs in the Final Four. And I've seen that with a bunch of teams. I think we're seeing a lot of average quarterback play across the board in the NFL and on Saturdays. We are. And I expect more from Nuss, and so does he, and so does LSU. But I also know this. It's really hard when you run the ball 2 times in the first half. If you're Superman, it's hard to complete balls when you're in that situation and they're dropping 8. And usually when they're dropping 8, you have to do everything underneath, and you got to be patient enough for 4 quarters to do it.
We'll get right back to the video, but thrilled to welcome Our Lady of the Lake to AFR LSU. As the championship health partner of LSU athletics, the physicians at Our Lady of the Lake serve the champions on the field in the purple and gold, but that same level of care is available to you and your family. I've been a proud supporter of Our Lady of the Lake my entire life, from volunteering at the Ronald McDonald Playroom as a high schooler to helping so many of the fundraising efforts for the standalone Children's Hospital, to my own son being a patient now at that very Children's Hospital, and my primary care physician, Dr. Kurt Chastain, at Our Lady of the Lake Men's Health Group. Our Lady of the Lake has been a part of my medical journey my entire life, and you can learn more as well. Our Lady of the Lake and LSU. Together, we roar. Okay, I'm glad you went there, because I want to talk about Garrett, because that's been the other giant part of this conversation, Sean. And a couple of weeks ago, Brian Kelly disclosed Nussmeier was dealing with a torso injury, whatever.
Yeah,
and physically, against Southeastern last week, I'm not talking about who they played, but I'm just talking about physically, right? Pushing the ball downfield, he looked fine. So you have a day like you have against Ole Miss, and it's stirred up all these questions again if Garrett's hurt. So I guess there's a 2-part that I want to ask you. One, when you're watching him on Saturday, physically, did you notice anything different? That's one. 2 is whenever you drop 8, how difficult is it to find open receivers and maybe to be patient?
Very, very. And that's the thing. What defensive coordinators' philosophy is when you go in with that, and the NFL and college level, their thought process is, and what's one thing that we've always talked about Nuss? Guts, right?
Yeah.
He ain't afraid to take a chance. And Kiff knows that. Lane knows that 100%. So you go into a game, and they're well coordinated on both sides of the ball, is Ole Miss. When you go into a game like that, when you balance it out and drop 8 people, and even if you were able to get out, which you should, if they're dropping 8, your 5 should be able to handle their 3.
Yes.
And if you can't, then you got a major issue. It's inexcusable at any level for 5 guys not to be able to handle 3, whether it's sacks or pressures. They add up. You just absolutely have to, which means you better get 5 out. Running back, tight end, 3 wides, 4 wide receivers, running back. I don't care what your personnel grouping is. And what you have to get 5 out. And if you have to keep a guy in with 5 out, it's an embarrassment to your offense. It just is. Now, moving forward. Now, think about it. When they're dropping out and they're dropping 8, and you've got all the underneath stuff, and you're dropping, whether you're playing too high, dropping 8, or whether you're playing off in quarters. I don't want to get too technical with people that you have to explain it because you can't draw it up right now. But sure. It's very difficult. And what defensive coordinators' philosophy is, they're willing to bet that you're not willing to go 3 series 75 yards and check the ball down. Now, when you get to your brilliance, and you guys there in Louisiana have seen it a million times. When Drew Brees was there, he was willing to do it, the NFL level. Shallow cross, check down, check down, check down. And then the defense finally says, oh, that's 8. That's 2 series in a row where he's been willing to methodically go down the field. Because you all want to have the guts, and you want to fit it in a tight window. That's the quarterback position. If the guy's got any guts, show me a quarterback without guts, I'll show you a guy who shouldn't be playing the position. But it's got to be judicious when you are doing that. So what happens is then you start to check it down. They got to come up and make a tackle. 4-yard gain, 3-yard gain, 5-yard gain, which to me, 5, 4, and 3 adds up to 12 yards. That's a first down. But what happens, and if you'll do that, what they do, and Breeze and Manning were so good at it, Brady as well, to be able to, linebacker's tired of driving on the ball and making a tackle in the open field. Bam. They jump it the next time. Then you can hit your plays down the field. But they are banking on the fact that you're eventually going to make a mistake. Either hold the ball too long, your offensive line's been struggling, you're banged up, or you're going to try to force one because you're tired of checking it down, and you pre-snap guess it. So you take shots, ball gets knocked down, 3 and out. And then when you run the ball 2 times in the first half, hell, if I was going in at halftime, and halftime adjustments can be overrated, if you saw that and you're Ole Miss, what are you saying? They don't have the patience or the wherewithal today to run the ball. And they don't think they're good enough to do it. So keep dropping 8. Their best players under center. Make it miserable on him to have to make completions. That's 1. 2, I did not see, I mean, for the naked eye, and maybe you did, Matt, and I watched the whole game. I did not see anything visible to me that would say physically, but you could tell the frustration of the impatience and the frustration of what he was going through, which that's normal for a quarterback, but you've got to fight it. You're not fighting coverage, then you got to fight yourself. Whether you like the game plan, whether you like the decisions, whether you like what's going on, whether you've lost trust somewhere, you still got to force yourself to elevate everybody else. And if that means throwing 6 checkdowns, you absolutely have to do it, because you will get yourself in trouble. And Matt, you're drawing it up, trying to fit 4 or 5 receivers into dealing with 8, we always play the numbers game in sports and in football. We're always taught to play the numbers game. You got 3, I want my 3 on your 2. You got 4, I want my, that I'm going the other way, I want my 3 on your 2. Opposite rotation, wherever it is. But when you're dropping 8, where is that? Where's that hole? Where's that hole? They're begging you to run the football and check it down. And if you don't do either, and you're not patient enough to do either, you're in major, major trouble. And then what happens as a quarterback, you get so tired of it. Like I said, you think, I got to take a shot, because whether it's boring, we're not making enough chunk plays out of it. So you almost will yourself to make it a throw down the field. And that's when you get in trouble. And I could see the frustration on Nussmeier's face, but I couldn't see if there was anything physically wrong. Now, if that question is persisting this week, Matty, I will tell you this, as good as we think he can be, and to elevate and how tough he is, if there is something wrong and you are limiting him in that he can't push it down the field, or the ball's not coming out like you want it to, then you absolutely have to have the guts as a coach to say, then even at 80%, if he's better, we have got to make a change. I'm not suggesting bench him, but if he's physically, difference between being hurt and being injured. Hurt, you play. Injured, it's too much. And that's for them to decipher, because I'm not in the medical business, but I can tell you this, it looked like a confused, obviously not balanced, but a frustrated, even Brian himself looked frustrated and impatient, and that permeated through the whole team. And then on the other side, when you're watching your defense get gashed in a run game, and them, running the football and committing to it, and you getting physically pushed around, which is not the nature of LSU, especially on that side of the ball, it wasn't a good thing. And they had their ass handed to them this weekend. They did, even though the score said closer, they got pushed around at Ole Miss, and it was a very, very difficult game to watch if you're an LSU fan. Frustrating.
Sean Salisbury is our guest. Hey, thanks so much for watching. Please leave your comments. I love to interact, and be sure to hit the red subscribe button below.